What if I told you that right now, as you watch this, you're broadcasting a signal that's literally reshaping reality around you? Not in some mystical way, but through actual quantum mechanics that most people have no idea they're participating in every single second of their existence. You've been lied to about how reality works. You've been told you're a passive observer in a fixed universe, but quantum physicists have been hiding something from the public for decades. Every thought, every emotion, every breath you take isn't just happening inside your head. It's collapsing wave functions and determining which version of reality becomes your actual experience. The terrifying part? You've been doing it unconsciously, scattered and unfocused, which is why your life feels chaotic and unpredictable. Here's what they don't teach you in school. You're not separate from the energy field you want to influence. You're drowning in it. You are an extension of the quantum field itself. And that field has been listening to you this entire time. Not to your words, not to your desperate wishes, but to your deepest subconscious state. This is the invisible current that's been determining everything: your relationships, your opportunities, your health, your bank account, all of it. Think about the last time something happened that felt like impossible timing. That job offer that came out of nowhere. That person who appeared exactly when you needed them. That moment when you just knew something was about to happen before it did. You've been told these are coincidences, but they weren't accidents. They were quantum events, ripples in the field responding to frequencies you were emitting without even realizing it. But here's where it gets disturbing. It's not your conscious mind running this show. Your subconscious doesn't give a damn what you say you want. It responds to what you actually believe, what you consistently feel, and what you've trained yourself to expect. That's why people can chant affirmations for years and see nothing change. That's why visualization fails most people. They're trying to paint the front porch while the back door to the field remains locked tight. The subconscious connection is everything, and until you crack that code, you're just another person wondering why life keeps happening to you instead of for you. But what happens when you finally understand how to work with this system instead of against it? What we're about to explore will sound impossible, but the science backs it up in ways that will shock you. Now, let me tell you what the scientific establishment doesn't want you to know. For over a century, quantum physicists have been discovering things that completely shatter our understanding of reality, but they've kept the most mind-blowing implications buried in academic journals where ordinary people can't access them. The observer effect in quantum physics isn't just some abstract laboratory concept. It's happening in your life right now. At the quantum level, reality exists as infinite possibilities until consciousness collapses it into a single outcome. But here's the part that makes traditional scientists uncomfortable. Consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it actively creates it. Your awareness, your expectations, your belief systems are literally the tools that select which version of reality becomes your experience. Recent studies have shown something even more incredible. The electromagnetic field produced by your heart is 60 times stronger than your brain's electromagnetic field. And this field extends several feet beyond your physical body. You're walking around in an energy bubble that's constantly interacting with other people's fields, with environments, with circumstances. When researchers measured this field during states of coherence versus chaos, they found that coherent states actually influence random number generators, plant growth, and even the behavior of people nearby. But the establishment wants to keep this quiet because it means you're not the powerless consumer they need you to be. If people understood that their inner state directly influences their external reality through measurable electromagnetic fields, entire industries built on keeping you dependent would collapse overnight. The controversial part, some quantum physicists believe that consciousness doesn't emerge from the brain. Consciousness is the fundamental fabric of reality itself, and your brain is just the receiving antenna. If that's true, then you're not a biological machine having random experiences. You're a conscious entity temporarily focused through a physical body, broadcasting signals that the universe has no choice but to reflect back to you. This is why most people live in what I call energetic noise. Their mind says one thing, their heart feels another, their body does something completely different. They're broadcasting interference, a tangled mess of contradictory frequencies that cancel each other out. The field receives these mixed signals and doesn't know how to respond, so it gives them mixed results. A little success, a lot of struggle, moments of breakthrough followed by setbacks. But when your brain waves, heart rhythms, and nervous system align in coherence, something extraordinary happens. You become like a tuning fork for the reality you want to experience. Your thoughts stop fighting your emotions. Your desires stop contradicting your beliefs. Your body stops acting like the enemy of your mind. In that moment, the signal you broadcast isn't a whisper anymore, it's a command that the field can't ignore. Research from institutions like HeartMath has shown that achieving heart-brain coherence doesn't just feel good, it measurably changes your electromagnetic signature in ways that influence people, events, and opportunities around you. When you combine this coherent heart energy with focused intention, you create what scientists call a broadcast signal that interacts with the quantum field in profoundly organized ways. Here's the part that will blow your mind. You don't need to be perfect to access this. Coherence isn't about controlling every thought or suppressing difficult emotions. It's about creating a dominant signal so strong that occasional mental static doesn't matter. You become the lighthouse, not the flickering candle. So how do you actually do this? You start with brutal awareness. Notice when your body tenses up. Notice when your mind races with anxiety. Notice when your breath becomes shallow. Then instead of fighting these states, you bring yourself back. Slow the breath, soften the heart, drop into the present moment. Set a clear intention, not from desperation, but from trust. Feel the emotion of already having what you want, and let your nervous system memorize that state. The more you practice this, the more it becomes your default. You stop chasing reality and start magnetizing it. People will ask you what's different about you, but they won't be able to put their finger on it. They'll just know that something has shifted in your presence. But coherence alone isn't enough, and this is where most people hit a wall they don't see coming. There's a deeper layer to this game that determines whether your aligned intentions actually collapse into real events or just remain pretty feelings. I'm talking about the hidden architecture of expectation, the invisible script that's been running your life without your permission. Here's the secret most people overlook. The universe doesn't deliver what you want just because you want it. It delivers what you're energetically tuned to expect. In quantum physics, we talk about wave functions, infinite possibilities existing simultaneously until something collapses them into a single outcome. At the subatomic level, reality is pure potential waiting to crystallize into form. But what determines which possibility becomes your actual experience? The observer effect, but not the passive observer sitting on the sidelines. The active observer, whose focus, expectation, and belief act as the needle that weaves potential into physical reality. This is where most people get trapped without realizing it. They do their visualizations, they practice their affirmations, they try to think positive thoughts, but underneath all of it runs an invisible program of doubt, fear, and limitation. They look at their empty bank account and expect more struggle. They look at their body in the mirror and expect disappointment. They approach relationships expecting rejection, and the field responds accordingly, not because it's punishing them, but because it's reflecting their dominant energetic broadcast. Your conscious mind can say, "I'm abundant," all day long, but if your subconscious is running the program that says, "There's never enough," guess which one the field listens to? Your body knows the difference between genuine expectation and wishful thinking. The field reads vibration, not vocabulary. This is why so many people feel stuck even when they're doing everything right on the surface. They're trying to override decades of subconscious conditioning with surface-level techniques, never addressing the core expectations that have been shaping their reality from the shadows. But here's where the real magic happens. When you start aligning not just your thoughts, but your deep beliefs and assumptions, you begin shifting probabilities at the quantum level. Tiny changes in how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you expect the world to respond to you, these become the levers that tip entire timelines in your direction. Think of it like walking through a hallway lined with infinite doors. Each door represents a possible version of the next moment, the next conversation, the next opportunity. Most people don't realize they're choosing which door to open based on their dominant expectation. They unconsciously select the door that matches their deepest assumptions about what's possible for them. People who seem to live charmed lives haven't learned some secret technique. They've shifted their baseline expectation. They expect good things to happen, so they notice and move toward the doors that lead to good things. They expect to be liked, so they show up in ways that invite warmth from others. They expect opportunities, so they recognize and act on openings that others miss completely. The terrifying part is how subtle this process is. You can't fake expectation. You can't chant your way into truly believing something your nervous system rejects. The field isn't fooled by positive thinking if your body is vibrating with fear underneath. So the real work becomes gradually loosening the grip of limiting assumptions, softening resistance, training your entire system to hold a new baseline of what's normal for you. This looks like catching yourself when you automatically expect the worst and choosing, even for just a moment, to imagine something better could happen. It looks like rehearsing success in your nervous system, not just in your imagination. Over time, something shifts. The probability field begins reorganizing around your new normal. Doors you didn't even know existed start swinging open. Synchronicities stack up. People and circumstances align with eerie precision, not because you forced anything, but because you became a clear enough signal for a different version of reality to crystallize around you. But there's still one more layer that trips up even people who understand everything we've covered so far. It's the paradox that destroys most people's efforts to change their reality, and it's probably the exact opposite of what you've been taught about getting what you want. Here's where most people get it completely backwards. We've been programmed to hustle, push, and force our way toward the life we want. This approach might work in some areas of the material world, but when applied to the quantum field, it creates the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. The field doesn't respond to force, it responds to alignment. And alignment often feels like surrender, which terrifies people who've been taught that letting go means giving up. Let me be crystal clear, surrender is not resignation. It's not becoming passive or lazy, or stopping your efforts to improve your life. True surrender is releasing the need to micromanage exactly how your desires manifest, while holding unwavering focus on the outcome you want to experience. Think of planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You don't yell at it to grow faster. You create the right conditions, tend the soil, provide water, and trust the intelligence of nature to handle the details. The paradox is that the less you interfere with anxious, grasping energy, the faster and more beautifully things bloom. When you surrender control over the how and when, you stop sending mixed signals to the field. You stop saying, "I trust the process," while secretly obsessing over every detail of timing. You stop pretending to let go while energetically clinging to specific outcomes. And when you truly release that grip, something miraculous happens. The subconscious connection opens wider than ever before. Here's what most people miss. Your subconscious can't be bullied into alignment. You can't force coherence through willpower alone, but you can create conditions where your nervous system naturally relaxes, where your breath deepens, where your heart softens, and where your energy stops vibrating in desperation. When you do this, you stop being the seeker and become the signal. You stop chasing and start drawing. You stop trying to manifest and become the embodiment of what you desire. The field doesn't respond as a reward for good behavior. It responds as a mirror, reflecting back the energy you've become. There's a deep trust woven into the fabric of quantum creation. It's the trust that says, if I align, the universe aligns with me. If I embody the vibration, reality reshapes to match it. If I become it, the world reflects it back to me. But here's the challenge. Surrender feels completely unnatural to a mind trained in control. We want guarantees, timelines, proof. We want to know exactly when and how things will happen. Yet the more you demand certainty from the field, the more you slip into resistance. The tighter you grip, the more the field contracts in response. This is where the work becomes paradoxical. You set clear intentions, you align your vibration, and then you let go. You stop micromanaging the timeline. You stop panicking when things don't unfold exactly as you pictured. You stop shrinking back into doubt every time reality seems to test your resolve. Ironically, this gives you more influence over outcomes than trying to control every variable ever could. When you release the need to force, you tap into a deeper current of creative power that most people never access because they're too busy swimming upstream. People often ask me, how do I know if I'm truly surrendered or if I've just given up? The difference is unmistakable once you feel it. Surrender feels expansive in your body, light, open, available to possibility. Giving up feels like collapse, heavy, closed, resigned to limitation. Surrender keeps you engaged with life, while holding outcomes lightly. Resignation checks out completely. Here's what I want you to consider. Where are you still trying to force results in your life? Where are you gripping so tightly that the energy can't flow? What would it feel like, even as an experiment, to soften your hold and trust that life is actually biased toward your expansion and success? Because here's the truth most people never discover. The universe is wired to support coherence. The field wants to align with conscious beings who've learned to work with its intelligence rather than against it. Life itself is biased toward evolution, growth, and creative expression. When you get out of the way, you're not abandoning your power, you're stepping into a much deeper level of it. Now we come to the final piece, the integration that transforms everything we've discussed from interesting concepts into your lived reality. Because none of this matters unless you embody it consistently, not just when you're meditating or doing your manifestation practices, but as your default way of moving through the world. You're not here to learn how to occasionally influence energy. You're here to become energy in conscious form. You're here to live as the signal, embodied, coherent, surrendered, so that the field doesn't hesitate or second guess. It organizes itself around you because you've stopped pretending to be separate from the current that's always been flowing through you. When you walk through life as the quantum event, rather than someone trying to create quantum events, everything changes. Circumstances rearrange themselves. Timelines shift. People show up at exactly the right moment. Opportunities unfold with precision that defies logical explanation. Not because you forced anything, not because you earned it through struggle, but because you finally stopped broadcasting separation and started emanating connection. This is what it means to live as the signal. You know who you are beneath the temporary emotions and circumstances. You know what you're aligned with. You know what you've come here to express into this world. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop asking the universe for permission. You stop waiting for proof before you believe, because you understand that belief is the proof, identity is the engine, and vibration is the invitation. You don't create from lack anymore. You don't visualize from fear. You don't manifest from maybe. You radiate, and what you radiate becomes inevitable. Let me ground this for you. Living as the signal doesn't mean you never feel doubt, frustration, or sadness. It means those states don't dominate your baseline anymore. They don't define your energetic signature. They pass through like weather, but they don't take root because you know who you are underneath them. And that's what the field responds to, not your perfect moments, but your unshakable core frequency. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships or worry about the storm. It just stands anchored in its purpose, pulsing a clear signal through whatever conditions arise. That's your work, not to control the waves of life, but to become the steady beacon in the middle of them. When you live this way, people feel it without understanding why. They feel safer in your presence, more inspired, more activated. Opportunities start arriving seemingly out of nowhere. Synchronicities become so common, they stop feeling coincidental. The right words come to you at the right moment. You begin to sense that life is responding to you, not reacting, not resisting, but listening and reflecting back the energy you've learned to embody. And then you realize something that changes everything. You've always been this powerful. You just forgot. You forgot that your subconscious isn't a storage unit for past trauma. It's a broadcast tower for current vibration. You forgot that coherence isn't just a nice idea. It's the switch that activates your reality. You forgot that letting go isn't giving up. It's stepping aside so the field can do what it knows how to do. You forgot that your very presence is a signal. Now you remember. So what happens now? Now you walk differently. You breathe differently. You speak as someone who isn't asking reality to change, but inviting it into alignment with what's already true at the quantum level. You stop trying to become something and remember that you already are it. The field doesn't need your effort. It needs your signal. If you take nothing else from this, let it be this. The version of you living your dream life isn't somewhere else. It's not in the future waiting for you to earn it through years of healing or hustling. That version exists in the field right now, quantum entangled with you, waiting for you to stop pretending you're not already connected to it. The real question becomes, will you choose to tune into that frequency fully, unapologetically, consistently, until it becomes the most natural thing in the world. Because when you do, the quantum responds. Reality shifts, and the universe moves with you, instead of around you. You are not here to chase change. You are here to become it. And the moment you embody that truth, everything else becomes inevitable.